that shouldn't be there. Those shouldn't be there either. Now that's going to be your problem right there. Yesterday I got the phone call that every livestock owner hates to get, and it seems like I get that phone call quite often here lately. But yes, the cows got out, or more specifically, the weaned calves got out, and it's pretty obvious where that happened. We got everybody back in the pen, so no harm done there, but I still need to get this fence fixed because I can't let them back in this little corral until it's good to go. And this little corral just happens to be where their feed bunk is. So I threw them a little bit of hay out in their field this morning, but I think they've got that all cleaned up now. So I need to get this fixed so that I can get them back in here and kind of get things back to normal. That's what's going on today on Farmer Tyler Ranch. Now, I'll be the first to admit that this corral has some problem areas, but I honestly didn't think that this was one of them. I'll show you why this fence failed, and I'll also tell you what I'm going to do to fix it so that this doesn't happen again. From what I can figure, there's actually a couple of things going on here that worked against me. Number one, the fact that this fence broke right at the end of the manger is no coincidence. A lot of times I'll notice cattle kind of fighting around the end here because there's a little slot at the very end of the manger where they can get their head in. So probably what happened is there were two that wanted to get in that end spot, and as they were sort of discussing it, one of them got pushed into this fence. The other thing that's going on here is that these boards are on the wrong side of the post. And what I mean by that is that they're on the back side of the post so that if animals push against them, all that really has to happen for the board to come down is for the nail to just slide out. And that's exactly what did happen. This center round post, one would think, would hold these boards on and sort of cure that problem because it is on the correct side of the boards. But as we look at it here closely, you can see that this post was already a little bit rotten, and I'm sure whenever they slammed into it, that thing probably just snapped like a toothpick. Now, the reason that the boards are put on the wrong side of the post like that, I think, is so that the gate didn't interfere with it. What we're gonna have to do is get the boards on the correct side of the post, and in order to do that, we're probably gonna have to end up moving these posts or sticking a few more in right next to them. Now, as you can see, this post that the gate latches into, or used to latch into, is pretty rotten. So I'm gonna have to yank it out of the ground anyway. This one, I think I can just move over enough so that we have room to put the boards on the inside here. And on the other side, what I think I'll do is just put a small 4x4 right here, get some long lag screws and attach it to the post that's already there. And then we'll have a good little spot to nail the boards into. They'll be on the right side of the post this time so that if the cows do push on them, they can't just pop the nails right out. This whole little manger, the horse stall, and just basically this whole area over here, everything is rotten, everything is old. And for the last couple of years, I keep saying that I'm gonna get in here and rework this, but you know how it goes. Sometimes time and money just don't allow us to carry out these plans that we have. That being said, I really don't want to go out and buy a bunch of new lumber and fix this in such a way where I'll just be yanking it all out in a couple years. I think I do have enough secondhand lumber, stuff that we pulled out from the working corral when I made the bunk feeder over there. With that and a couple of other pieces that I have saved, I think I have actually enough pieces to do this all without having to spend any money. I might have to go buy some lag screws, but that should be about it. And while I'm working here, I realized that I can just take this gate and I'll get some old twine and tie it to this post on the end of the manger. That way, my work area is totally open and free, and I can let the calves back in this little pen so that they can eat while I'm working. So yes, this is gonna be another Band-Aid fix until I can get the metal and build this the right way. That is definitely not a permanent repair, and honestly, I probably wouldn't even want to walk away and leave the cows in here unattended. But since I'm going to be right here working and I can keep an eye on them, I feel okay with this. And you guys are waiting, aren't you? I guess they weren't as hungry as I thought they were. That wasn't too bad. I was expecting that one to really fight me, and it actually came out pretty easy. How is it every time you dig a hole, you put the post in, which takes up a lot of the area inside the hole, but there's just never enough dirt to bury the post? I'll never understand it. All right, I'm pretty happy with these two posts. They're actually really solid. This ground is perfect for packing. It's almost like they're packed in concrete. Now I just got to put these boards up, but before I do that, I need to run back home and get some screws, a saw, impact driver, and a couple of more little tools. I'm back out here at the ranch, and while I was at the shop at my house, I found these lag screws. These are the longest ones that I have, and as luck would have it, it looks like they're going to be long enough. They'll be able to go into this post about 2 inches, which, I mean, is not a ton, but it's going to be enough for what we're doing. And of course, putting lag screws in that are that long require a pilot hole, and that is exactly what I bought this drill bit for. next day now. I ran out of battery and quite honestly out of energy yesterday, so it was time to call it quits. This repair is done now and I'm actually pretty happy with the way it turned out, especially considering that this was all salvaged parts and material that I had laying around. It actually turned out pretty good and pretty stout. The top two boards and the bottom two boards here are the original boards that were already up. And I happen to have this, I think it's a 2x10 or 2x8. And this is a little bit heavier material. This is probably was milled back when they made good lumber. And this thing's pretty stout. So I put it right here in the middle so that if they did kind of turn and hit it, then they would hit the strongest board first. Now is the time of the video where I put my tail between my legs and I sheepishly explain to you guys how I screwed up on this. As you can see, this post really landed in the wrong spot, and that's as far as that gate will close until it hits those boards. So what happened here is I thought that using the old hole I would be okay because there was about a board's worth of clearance between the original post and the gate. So without measuring, I just redug that hole, popped this post in the ground, and assumed that everything would be fine, and you can see how that turned out. And to be perfectly honest with you guys, I had half of mine to sort of edit around this and kind of hide my mistake and not really show you guys how I screwed up. But then I got to thinking about it and I thought, you know what, everybody screws up, so I'm just gonna go ahead and show it, and rather than try to cover my tracks, I'm gonna show you guys how I'm gonna fix this. We have had an unusually dry winter so far, and I think that rain will come someday, but until then, you can see how dry it is in this little corral. But like I say, this is not normal. Normally in December, this corral is very muddy and the ground is rough and uneven, and there's really no reason why you would ever open that gate into the corral. Even in the summertime, I can't really think of a reason when this ground is, you know, dry like it is now, why you need to open the gate in. It seems like you would always be able to accomplish whatever you need to accomplish by opening the gate out. So what I'm gonna do is take the gate off of the post that it's hanging on now. We'll move the gate so that it's on the other side of our new post, and then the gate will open out and it will close into the new post. Now, the only bad thing is that we can't really use the gate latch this way, but we probably weren't going to be able to use it anyway because the way those boards are on that post. So there's a couple of different ways that I can deal with this, and let me kind of show you my ideas of what they are. With the gate outside of the post, the most obvious solution is to just wrap a chain around the post and the gate and sort of tie it shut. There's quite a few gates around here that latch that way, and this isn't the way that I really like to do things, but it definitely does work. The other way that I could accomplish latching the gate is to take a piece of angle iron and attach it to this side of the post. Now, if I had the angle, let's see if you guys can see, flat side on the post, obviously, and then coming out, I could cut a couple of holes in that angle iron where the latch pieces could go through. But before I can worry about any of that, the first battle that I need to fight is getting these old bolts out of the post. Now, who knows how many years these bolts have been in there. They're square-headed bolts, which I don't even think you can buy anymore. And they're rusty and probably twice as old as I am. I've been soaking them in WD-40 for, well, I put the WD-40 on yesterday, so we'll say almost a whole day. So we're just gonna see. They might come off with a grinder, who knows? Now, there's really nothing wrong with square head bolts in my mind, but what I don't like about them is that I can't get a socket on them, so therefore I can't use my impact driver. But this is actually, it is moving, so I'm sure it's gonna be a battle the whole way. Make it after all. Got it. One down. We'll see. I think it moved. The bottom two look to be lag bolts to me, so that's good. Well, it's good if my impact is strong enough to get them out.
If not, then it's actually not good. All right, you got what it takes? Oh yeah, you got what it takes, no problem. Am I the only one that talks to my tools and, you know, encourages them when I know they've got a tough job to do? You got this one. A little harder, but you did it. Good. So at this point, the only thing holding the gate on is these two bolts that are just kind of hanging in those holes right there. So I'm gonna have to slide this out and kind of jockey it around here a little bit and get that gate out on the other side. I probably should have brought my 3-point lift for the tractor to sort of hold this up while I'm trying to muscle it around, because these old Powder River gates are pretty heavy. They're actually very well built. I'm not sure if the new ones are built quite as stout as these old ones are. Maybe they are, but the only thing that I don't like about these is that they're hollow underneath these rails, and it makes a perfect place for wasps to build little homes in there. And if you don't think about it, in the summertime, you grab one of these gates to open it, and you know, they only build nests right where you're going to grab the gate. I found that out. Wasn't too hard. Boy, that's a nice post, isn't it? Well, aside from this monster chain that I'm using to hold the gate closed, I think this is pretty much done. When I get some time to get into the shop, I'll make a proper latch for that, but until then, this is gonna work just fine. Before I wrap this video up, I wanted to come out here and do a couple of quick updates on the cows. First is our little surprise calf here. Her and mother are staying in here with the weaned calves, and so far everything's been going fine. I was worried that it might get a little bit too muddy in here for that little calf, but with the lack of rain this year, that really hasn't been a problem. The little calf is getting around good, and I can tell that she's really healthy. In fact, when the calves broke out on Friday, she was one of the last ones caught, just because, well, herding young calves like that is usually, it doesn't go so well. So that was part of it. But the other thing was that she was just running around and having a good time. And of course, there's number 11, the cow that had lump jaw that we worked on a couple of weeks ago. As you can see, she's settled right into manger life, and pretty much all the swelling in her face has gone down now. She still lacks a little bit on body condition, but I think she is starting to look better. And apparently she's feeling well enough to go ahead and push some girls out of her way if they're eating where she wants to eat. So that in itself is actually a really great sign. You kind of hate to see them do that to each other, but that tells me that she's feeling really good. Until then, thanks for hanging out with me today, guys, and I hope I'll see you again on Farmer Tyler Ranch.